The celestial threat. The vast chamber of the Galactic Hegemony's High Council glowed with an eerie blue light, casting long shadows across the faces of the assembled alien dignitaries. At the center of the room, a holographic display pulsed with data streams, each one detailing the rapid advancements of a small blue planet in a backwater arm of the galaxy. High Counselor Zixnareth, his elongated fingers steepled before him, studied the projections with growing unease. His species, the Vexari, had ruled the hegemony for millennia, their superior technology and strategic acumen keeping lesser races in check. But now, a new player had entered the galactic stage, and their rise threatened everything the hegemony had built. Earth, Zixnareth hissed, the word tasting bitter on his tongue. A primitive world merely centuries into their technological awakening, and already they push boundaries we thought immutable. The gathered counselors murmured in agreement, their diverse forms shifting uneasily in their seats, representatives from 100 different species, all united in their fear of humanity's potential. Their quantum theories surpass our own, added Counselor Thrax, a bulbous creature whose translucent skin revealed a constantly shifting network of neural pathways, and their military strategies, unpredictable, adaptive. They turned their short lifespans into an advantage, evolving tactics faster than we can counter. Zixnareth's eyes narrowed, focusing on a particular data stream. And now this, Project Prometheus. Our spies reported as nothing less than an attempt to harness the power of stars. If they succeed, the unspoken threat hung in the air. A species capable of manipulating stellar energy would be unstoppable, even to the mighty hegemony. We must act, declared Morlath, the hegemony's military strategist. His exoskeleton clicked as he stepped forward, mandibles twitching in agitation. A direct assault would be foolish. Their defenses, while primitive, are formidable, and an open war might unite them further. Zixnareth nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Then we strike from the shadows. Remove their leaders, their visionaries. Without guidance, they will fall into chaos, ripe for subjugation. The council chamber erupted in whispers, some of approval, others of concern. It was Thrax who voiced the question on many minds. But who could we send? Humanity's home system is heavily monitored. Any alien presence would be detected immediately. A cold smile spread across Zixnareth's face. Not any alien presence, my dear Thrax. We have an asset perfectly suited for this task. He gestured to a dark corner of the chamber, where a figure had stood unnoticed throughout the proceedings. From the shadows emerged a being that caused even the hardened counselors to recoil. It was vaguely humanoid, its form shifting and blurring, as if struggling to maintain cohesion. Where a face should be, there was only a swirling void. Behold, Zixnareth announced, the culmination of Project Eclipse, a shapeshifter of unparalleled ability, capable of mimicking any species down to the cellular level, undetectable by any known means. The shapeshifter bowed slightly, its voice a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. We are ready to serve, High Counselor. Our brethren await your command. Morlath's compound eyes widened in understanding. An entire team of these creatures, infiltrating every level of Earth's leadership. Zixnareth nodded, his satisfaction evident. Precisely. They will strike simultaneously, eliminating Earth's most brilliant minds and strongest leaders in one fell swoop. Without them, humanity will crumble, their potential forever unfulfilled. The council murmured in approval, fear giving way to anticipation. Finally, they would snuff out the threat that Earth posed before it could truly ignite. As the plans were finalized and the shapeshifters prepared for their mission, none in the hegemony could have predicted the storm they were about to unleash. For on Earth, hidden depths of human ingenuity and determination were about to be tested as never before. Across the vast expanse of space, on the blue planet that had caused so much concern, life continued unaware of the looming threat. In New Beijing, Dr. Lian Chen pored over data from the latest Prometheus trials, her eyes alight with excitement. The project was nearing a breakthrough, one that would revolutionize energy production across the globe. Half a world away, in the bustling heart of Nairobi, General Adebayo Okafor coordinated global defense strategies, his holographic displays showing a network of satellites and ground-based defenses that had kept Earth safe from extraterrestrial threats for decades. And in the depths of the Marianas Trench, Dr. Samantha Reyes guided her submersible through the crushing darkness, searching for extremophile organisms that could hold the key to humanity's expansion to the stars. These leaders, along with dozens of others across the planet, represented the pinnacle of human achievement and potential. They were the drivers of progress, the guardians of Earth's future. And they were now targets, marked for elimination by a force they couldn't even imagine. As Earth's unsuspecting populace went about their daily lives, the first wave of shapeshifters slipped silently through the atmosphere, undetected by the very defenses General Okafor had helped create. They dispersed across the globe, each one perfectly mimicking the appearance and mannerisms of those around them. In the corridors of power, in research facilities and military installations, the infiltrators took their positions. They watched, they learned, and they waited for the signal that would plunge humanity into chaos. But even as the hegemony's plan unfolded with cold precision, they had overlooked a crucial factor. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology or its leaders, but in its indomitable spirit and its capacity for the unexpected. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility whose very existence was known only to a handful of individuals, a different kind of weapon stirred. Project Nemesis, Earth's ultimate contingency plan, was about to be put to the test. As the shadow of alien assassination loomed over the planet, humanity's own monsters prepared to awaken, ready to unleash a nightmare that would shake the very foundations of galactic power. The stage was set, the players were in motion, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance, poised between extinction and a future among the stars. Silent fall. The night sky over Earth shimmered with the usual tapestry of stars, satellites, and the occasional shooting meteor. But on this night, unseen by any human eye, dark shapes slipped through the atmosphere, their passage marked only by the briefest flicker of heat signatures quickly lost in the planet's thermal noise. In New Beijing, Dr. Lian Chen stretched, her eyes burning from hours of staring at holographic projections of stellar fusion simulations. The Prometheus project was tantalizingly close to a breakthrough. If they could just stabilize the reaction for a few microseconds longer. A soft chime from her desk interrupted her thoughts. "Dr. Chen," came the voice of her eye assistant, "your 22 o'clock appointment has arrived." Lian frowned. She didn't remember scheduling any late-night meetings. But then again, in the frantic push towards a sustainable fusion reaction, her schedule had become a blur. "Send them in," she said, quickly tidying her cluttered workspace. The doors slid open, revealing a nondescript man in a lab coat. "Dr. Chen," he greeted with a slight bow. "I'm Dr. Yan from the Oversight Committee. I hope I'm not interrupting anything crucial." As Lian turned to greet the visitor, she missed the brief shimmer that passed over his form, a momentary lapse in the shapeshifter's perfect disguise. "Not at all," she replied, gesturing to a chair. "Though I'm afraid I don't have much new to report since last week's." Her words died in her throat as she saw the visitor's arm elongate, fingers stretching into razor-sharp talons. In the split second before those talons struck, Lian's mind raced. This wasn't human. This was the nightmare scenario they had trained for, but never truly believed would come. With reflexes honed by years of martial arts training, a requirement for all key Prometheus personnel, Lian ducked and rolled. The shapeshifter's strike missed her by millimeters, shredding her lab coat and scoring deep gouges in the reinforced wall behind her. Lian's hand slammed onto a hidden panel beneath her desk. Alarms blared throughout the facility as emergency protocols engaged. Blast doors slammed shut, sealing off sensitive areas. But Lion knew it wasn't enough. If one shapeshifter had infiltrated, there could be more. As she fought for her life against an opponent whose form kept shifting, adapting to her every move, similar scenes played out across the globe. In Nairobi, General Okafor found himself trapped in his own command center, surrounded by staff members whose faces rippled and changed before his eyes. His hand hovered over the button that would launch Earth's entire defensive grid, knowing that doing so might trigger a war that would devastate the planet. But if these creatures took control, deep beneath the Pacific, Dr. Samantha Rice watched in horror as her submersible sensors detected multiple objects moving through the water at impossible speeds, converging on her position. The vessel's titanium hull groaned under sudden, immense pressure. As water began to seep through failing seals, Samantha realized with grim certainty that she would never see the surface again. But she could ensure that her discoveries wouldn't fall into alien hands. With trembling fingers, she initiated the submersible's self-destruct sequence. Across every continent, in every major city and secret facility, Earth's leaders and brightest minds found themselves under assault. The shapeshifters struck with ruthless efficiency, their actions coordinated with terrifying precision. As reports flooded in from around the world, chaos erupted. Emergency broadcasts interrupted regular programming, their dire warnings competing with wild speculation and panicked rumors spreading across social media. Governments scrambled to respond, but with key leadership targeted, their efforts were disjointed and often counterproductive. Military units mobilized without clear orders, some engaging in friendly fire incidents as paranoia gripped their ranks. Anyone could be an imposter. No one could be trusted. In orbit, the crew of the International Space Station watched helplessly as the blue marble beneath them erupted into patches of darkness. Power grids failing as critical infrastructure came under attack. Commander Elena Volkov, her face grim, initiated emergency protocols. The ISS would seal itself off, becoming humanity's last untouched bastion of technology and knowledge. If Earth fell, they would preserve what they could for future generations. But even as humanity reeled from the sudden, devastating assault, pockets of resistance began to form. In New Beijing, Dr. Lian Chen had managed to barricade herself in a secure lab, using improvised weapons cobbled together from fusion research equipment to hold off waves of shapeshifters. Her mind raced, analyzing the invaders' abilities, searching for weaknesses. General Okafor, bleeding but unbowed, had rallied loyal troops and civilians alike. They fought street by street to reclaim Nairobi, the general's tactical genius allowing them to outsmart and outmaneuver the numerically superior shapeshifters. And in countless other locations, humans who had never imagined themselves as soldiers or heroes rose to the occasion. They formed ad hoc militias, shared information through improvised communication networks, and fought with desperate ingenuity against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. Yet for all their bravery and resourcefulness, humanity was losing. The shapeshifters' ability to mimic anyone perfectly sowed distrust and confusion. For every victory humans claimed, the aliens seemed to win 2 more engagements. Earth's defenses, formidable as they were, had been designed to repel external threats. No one had anticipated an enemy that could slip past every scanner and checkpoint undetected. As the conflict entered its second day, with major cities in flames and governments in disarray, it seemed that the Galactic Hegemony's plan had succeeded. Humanity, for all its potential, would be snuffed out before it could truly challenge the established order of the cosmos. But in the depths of the Rocky Mountains, in a facility shielded from every form of detection, known to human and alien science alike, a last, desperate gambit was about to unfold. Colonel Sarah Harper stood before a row of stasis pods, each containing a figure obscured by swirling cryogenic mist. Her weathered face was set in grim determination as she inputted the final authorization codes. "May God forgive us," she whispered, pressing the activation switch. The pods hissed open, releasing their occupants. As the mist cleared, it revealed men and women unlike any the world had seen before. Their bodies were marvels of bioengineering, their minds honed by training and conditioning that pushed the very limits of human potential. They were Project Nemesis, humanity's ultimate weapons, created for a day they had hoped would never come. As the Nemesis operatives awakened, their eyes glowing with an inner fire that spoke of power barely contained, Colonel Harper delivered the briefing they had trained for their entire lives. "The nightmare scenario is here," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Alien shapeshifters have infiltrated our highest levels of leadership and are tearing our world apart. You are our last line of defense. Your mission: hunt them down, eliminate the threat, and save what's left of humanity." The operatives nodded in unison, their faces showing no fear, only grim determination. They had been created for this moment, and they would not fail. As the Nemesis team geared up with weapons and equipment that represented the pinnacle of human military technology, Colonel Harper opened a secure channel to the few remaining government and military leaders still confirmed to be human. "Operation Shadowfall is now in effect," she announced. "May God have mercy on us all." With those words, humanity's counterattack began. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and the galactic hegemony was about to learn that they had made a grave miscalculation. They had sought to extinguish humanity's potential. Instead, they had sparked a firestorm that would reshape the galaxy. Project Nemesis awakens. The Nemesis operatives moved through the burning ruins of Washington, D.C. like ghosts, their enhanced senses alert for any sign of the shape-shifting invaders. At the head of the team, Captain Maya Rodriguez scanned the area with eyes that could see far beyond the normal human spectrum. Her augmented brain processed information at speeds that would make supercomputers seem sluggish. "Movement, 2 o'clock," she subvocalized, the words transmitted instantly to her team through their neural interfaces, thermal signature inconsistent with human baseline. Sergeant Dmitry Volkov, the team's heavy weapons specialist, readied his plasma cannon. His muscles, a marvel of bioengineering, barely strained under the weight of a weapon that would require a small vehicle to transport normally. "Permission to engage?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. Maya held up a hand, her enhanced vision zooming in on the target. The figure looked human, a terrified civilian fleeing the chaos. But there was something off about its movements, a fluidity that seemed just slightly inhuman. "Negative," Maya replied. "We go in close. I want to test something." The team moved in, their stealth technology rendering them nearly invisible. As they approached, the civilian suddenly stiffened, its head swiveling unnaturally to face them. In an instant, its arms elongated into deadly blades. But the Nemesis team was ready. Maya ducked under the shapeshifter's first swing, her hand brushing against its skin. Instantly, nanobots embedded in her glove began analyzing its cellular structure. "Adaptive camouflage," she reported as she danced away from another attack. "But it's biological, not technological." "Dmitry, now." Sergeant Volkov's plasma cannon roared to life, engulfing the shapeshifter in a ball of superheated energy. When the glare faded, there was nothing left but a smoldering crater. "Confirmed kill," Dmitry grunted, a grim satisfaction in his voice. Maya nodded, her mind already processing the data from the brief contact. "The nanobot analysis is uploading to Central Command now. With this, we can start developing detection methods, maybe even countermeasures." As the team moved on, similar scenes played out across the globe. The Nemesis operatives, deployed strategically to key locations, began to turn the tide of the battle. Their enhanced abilities and advanced technology allowed them to go toe-to-toe with the shapeshifters, and their unbreakable neural link communications meant they couldn't be infiltrated or impersonated. In London, Nemesis operative Dr. Aisha Khoury, a genius bioengineer, worked feverishly in a makeshift lab. Using the data gathered by Maya's team, she began to unravel the secrets of the shapeshifters' biology. Their ability to change form, she explained to the holographic images of world leaders and fellow scientists. It's based on a hyper-adaptive cellular structure. But it's not perfect. There's a momentary energy surge when they shift, and their core temperature fluctuates. General Okafor, his face haggard but determined, leaned forward. Can we use that to detect them? Aisha nodded. I'm working on calibrating our sensors now. Within hours, we should be able to unmask any shapeshifter within range. As Aisha's work progressed, other Nemesis teams made crucial breakthroughs. In Tokyo, cybernetics expert Jin Tanaka managed to hack into the shapeshifter's communication network. The encrypted transmissions were like nothing he'd ever seen, but his augmented mind, interfacing directly with quantum computers, was up to the challenge. They're coordinating their attacks through some kind of quantum entanglement, Jin reported. But I think I can use this to feed them false information, maybe even track their movements. The momentum began to shift. With each passing hour, humanity's defenders grew stronger, smarter, more coordinated. The shapeshifters, for all their advanced abilities, found themselves increasingly outmatched. But the aliens were far from defeated. As they realized the threat posed by Project Nemesis, they changed tactics. Instead of HFY assassinations, they began to focus on sowing chaos and discord among the general population. In major cities around the world, shapeshifters disguised as authority figures issued contradictory orders, turning civilians against each other. They targeted power plants, communication hubs, and food and water supplies, pushing survivors to the brink of desperation. The Nemesis operatives found themselves fighting a war on two fronts, against the shapeshifters themselves, and to maintain order and hope among the very people they were trying to save. In New Delhi, Captain Raj Patel stood atop a makeshift barricade, addressing a crowd of frightened, angry civilians. His voice, amplified by his augmentations, carried over the din of the riot brewing before him. I know you're scared, he said, his words translated instantly into a dozen local languages by his neural interface. I know you've lost faith in your leaders, in the systems meant to protect you. But I'm here to tell you that we have not abandoned you. Humanity will survive this, but only if we stand together. As he spoke, his enhanced senses detected movement in the crowd, shapeshifters attempting to incite violence. With lightning reflexes, Raj vaulted over the barricade, his hands blurring as he incapacitated the infiltrators before they could react. The crowd watched in awe as Raj effortlessly subdued beings that had seemed unstoppable just days before. As the shapeshifters were unmasked before their eyes, a change came over the assembled civilians. Fear gave way to determination, despair to hope. He's right, someone shouted. We can fight back. The mood shifted. What had been a potential riot became an impromptu organizing session. Civilians began to coordinate, forming teams to distribute supplies, care for the wounded, and support the Nemesis operatives in their fight. Similar scenes played out around the world. The Nemesis project had been designed as a weapon of last resort, but its operatives now found themselves becoming symbols of hope, rallying humanity in its darkest hour. Back in the Rocky Mountain facility, Colonel Sarah Harper watched the reports flood in with a mixture of pride and concern. Project Nemesis was exceeding all expectations, but the cost was high. The operatives' enhanced bodies were burning out fast, pushed to their limits by the constant combat and the strain of their augmentations. We're winning battles, she murmured to her AI assistant, but can we win the war? The AI's response was cool and logical. Based on current projections, humanity's chances of survival have increased from 12.7% to 58.4%. However, Nemesis operative effectiveness is estimated to decline by 0.5% per hour due to cumulative strain. Sarah nodded grimly. They were on borrowed time. Unless they could find a way to strike at the heart of the alien invasion force soon, even the incredible abilities of the Nemesis operatives wouldn't be enough. As if in answer to her thoughts, a priority message flashed across her screen. It was from Jin Tanaka in Tokyo. Colonel, Jin's excited voice came through. I've done it. I've traced their communications back to the source. We've found their command center. Sarah's heart raced. This was it. The breakthrough they needed. Where? She demanded. You're not going to believe this, Jin replied, a note of awe in his voice. It's on the far side of the moon. They've had a base there all along, watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike. For a moment, Sarah was speechless. The implications were staggering. But there was no time to dwell on it. They had a chance, perhaps their only chance, to end this war. Patch me through to all Nemesis teams, she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. It's time for the final push. We're taking the fight to them. As the orders went out, Nemesis operatives around the world disengaged from their current battles, converging on predetermined extraction points. Humanity had clawed its way back from the brink of extinction. Now, it was preparing to take its first steps into a larger, more dangerous galaxy. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but humanity's place among the stars. The final battle of Operation Shadowfall was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Shadows versus shadows. The cavernous hangar beneath Cheyenne Mountain buzzed with frantic activity as the surviving Nemesis operatives prepared for humanity's most audacious mission yet. Sleek spacecraft, their hulls gleaming with experimental stealth technology, stood ready to carry Earth's finest into the void. Captain Maya Rodriguez ran a final systems check on her neural interface, the quantum-encrypted data streams confirming that her team was as ready as they'd ever be. Beside her, Dr. Aisha Khoury made last-minute adjustments to a device that looked like a cross between a medical scanner and a weapon. The anti-shapeshifter field generator, Aisha explained, noticing Maya's curious glance. It should disrupt their cellular cohesion, forcing them to reveal their true forms. Untested in combat, of course, but the simulations are promising. Maya nodded grimly. Untested was the operative word for this entire mission. Humanity had never attempted a military operation beyond Earth orbit, let alone on the far side of the moon. But desperate times called for desperate measures. Colonel Sarah Harper's voice crackled over the comms. All teams, final briefing. Our objective is the Alien Command Center on the far side of the moon. Jin Tanaka's cyber warfare team will attempt to disable their defenses remotely, giving us a window to land and infiltrate. Primary goal is to neutralize their leadership and destroy their ability to coordinate the shapeshifters on Earth. Secondary objective: gather all possible intelligence on their technology and capabilities. She paused, her next words heavy with the weight of history. Make no mistake, the fate of our species rests on the success of this mission. But remember, you're not just fighting for humanity's survival. You're fighting for our future among the stars. Good luck, and Godspeed. As the hangar doors slid open, revealing the star-studded night sky, Maya felt a surge of something she hadn't experienced since the invasion began. Hope. They had a chance, however slim, to end this war on their terms. The Nemesis ships lifted off silently, their advanced propulsion systems leaving no visible exhaust trail as they accelerated towards the edge of Earth's atmosphere. As they climbed, the blue of the sky deepened to black, and the curvature of the Earth became visible, a fragile blue marble suspended in the void. Beautiful, Sergeant Dmitry Volkov murmured, his usual gruff demeanor softened by the awe-inspiring view. Worth fighting for, no? Maya nodded, allowing herself a moment to appreciate the view before focusing on the mission ahead. As they approached lunar orbit, tension mounted. Would the alien defenses detect them? Had humanity's stealth technology advanced enough to fool a spacefaring civilization? Minutes stretched like hours as they made their approach to the far side of the moon. Then, just as they began their descent, alarms blared through the ship. Multiple bogies incoming. Jin's voice crackled over the comms. They've detected us. Maya's enhanced reflexes kicked in as she took manual control of the ship, weaving through a barrage of energy weapons that lit up the lunar sky. Around her, the other Nemesis ships scattered, executing evasive maneuvers that would have torn a normal human pilot to pieces. Jin, where's that cyber attack? Maya shouted as she narrowly avoided a beam that turned a nearby lunar rock into superheated plasma. "Working on it," Jin's strained voice replied. "Their systems are like nothing I've ever seen. Adaptive, almost alive. Give me 2 more minutes." But it was becoming clear they didn't have 2 minutes. The alien defenses were too strong, too well coordinated. As Maya watched, one of the Nemesis ships erupted in a silent explosion, its debris scattering across the lunar surface. Just when all seemed lost, a new voice cut through the chaos. "This is Dr. Lian Chen. I'm patching in from the lunar surface. I have control of a subsection of their network." Maya's heart leaped. Dr. Chen had been presumed dead in the initial invasion. Somehow she had not only survived but made it to the moon. "Dr. Chen, can you disable their defenses?" "Not entirely," Lian replied, her voice tight with concentration. "But I can open a gap. Sending coordinates now. You'll have 30 seconds. Make them count." Maya didn't hesitate. "All ships, converge on the coordinates. Full burn, now." The Nemesis ships dove towards the lunar surface, threading the needle between still active defense systems. Maya's ship shuddered as glancing blows scored its hull, but the advanced materials held. With a bone-jarring impact, they landed at the base of a massive structure that seemed to grow organically from the lunar rock. As the Nemesis operatives poured out of their ships, they found themselves face to face with the true forms of their shape-shifting enemies. Without the need to maintain human disguises, the aliens were terrifying to behold. Writhing masses of tentacles and blades, their bodies shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. But the Nemesis team didn't flinch. They had trained for this, had been engineered for this very moment. As Aisha activated the anti-shapeshifter field, forcing the aliens to maintain their true forms, the battle was joined in earnest. Maya's enhanced speed and strength allowed her to dance between the aliens' attacks, her nano-forged blade finding weak points in their ever-shifting anatomies. Dimitri's plasma cannon roared, each shot vaporizing entire groups of enemies. And Jin, interfacing directly with the alien technology, fought a silent battle in cyberspace, trying to wrest control of the base's systems. As they fought their way deeper into the alien stronghold, it became clear that they were facing not just foot soldiers, but the elite of the shapeshifter forces. Each chamber brought new horrors. Aliens that could split into multiple bodies, others that turned the very walls and floor into weapons. But for every alien trick, the Nemesis operatives had a counter. Aisha's biological countermeasures neutralized the aliens' adaptive abilities. Maya's tactical genius allowed them to outmaneuver superior numbers. And through it all, the unbreakable bond between the team members, forged through years of training and shared sacrifice, gave them an edge that the individualistic aliens couldn't match. Finally, they reached what could only be the central command chamber. As the doors slid open, they found themselves face to face with a being that dwarfed all the others they had encountered. It was a mass of writhing tentacles and pulsing organs, with dozens of eyes that swiveled to focus on the intruders. "So," the voice boomed in their minds, dripping with disdain, "the primitives have some fight in them after all." Maya stepped forward, her blade held ready. "We're not primitives. We're humanity, and we're here to end this war." The alien entity's laughter shook the chamber. "End it. Foolish creatures. This is but the beginning. Your world is already ours. Soon, your bodies will serve as vessels for our consciousness, your technology repurposed for our grand expansion. Surrender now, and perhaps we will allow some of you to survive as our pets." Maya's response was not in words, but in action. With a thought, she activated a sequence that Jin had prepared. Across the Earth, every Nemesis operative still fighting received the same message. Endgame initiated. As the alien leader realized what was happening, its confidence gave way to something approaching fear. For in that moment, humanity revealed its final, terrible card. A weapon born from the fusion of human ingenuity and desperate survival instinct. The tide of battle was about to turn, and the true nature of humanity's vengeance would shake the very foundations of galactic power. Reckoning. The alien leader's multitude of eyes widened as the true nature of humanity's final gambit became clear. Across the Earth, Nemesis operatives activated devices that had been carefully placed at key strategic locations. These weren't mere weapons, they were gateways. In the command chamber on the moon, Dr. Lion Chen's voice crackled over the comm, filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Project Prometheus is online. Maya, are you sure about this? Once initiated, there's no going back. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood tall, her eyes locked on the alien leader. We're sure, Doctor. Humanity's fate was sealed the moment they decided to invade. Now, we seal theirs. With those words, she gave the final command. Across the Earth, the gateways hummed to life, tapping into the very fabric of space-time. The Prometheus project, once aimed at harnessing stellar energy, had been repurposed into something far more devastating. The alien leader's psychic voice boomed, tinged with panic. What have you done, you primitive fools? Maya's response was cold, tempered by the hardships of the invasion. We opened doorways to the hearts of dying stars. The energy you sought to control, the power you thought would make you unstoppable, we're bringing it right to your doorstep. As if in response to her words, the air began to shimmer and distort. Portals opened within the moon base and at every major shapeshifter stronghold on Earth. Through these gateways poured the unimaginable energies of collapsing stars, concentrated and directed with terrifying precision. The effect was catastrophic. Shapeshifters caught in the energy streams simply ceased to exist, their adaptive biology overwhelmed by forces beyond cosmic scale. The moon base began to shake apart, lunar rock sublimating instantly where the stellar energy touched it. Fall back, Maya ordered her team. Back to the ships, now. As the Nemesis operatives fought their way back through disintegrating corridors, the alien leader made one last, desperate attempt to turn the tide. Its form expanded, absorbing lesser shapeshifters, growing to monstrous proportions. You think your starfire can defeat us? It roared, tentacles lashing out to block their escape. We have consumed worlds, bent the laws of physics to our will. We are eternal. But its bravado was short-lived. Dr. Aisha Khoury, her anti-shapeshifter field generator pushed beyond its limits, faced the monstrosity. You may bend the laws of physics, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them, but we break them. With a final surge of power, Aisha's device disrupted the alien leader's cellular cohesion at the quantum level. As stellar energy poured through the breach, the being that had orchestrated the invasion of Earth howled in agony, its form unraveling in a spectacular display of light and energy. The Nemesis team barely made it back to their ships as the moon base collapsed behind them. As they accelerated away from the lunar surface, the sight that greeted them was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Earth, seen from space, was alight with pinpricks of impossibly bright energy, each one a Prometheus gateway unleashing the power of dying stars upon the invaders. The shapeshifter's fleet, caught off guard by the attack from within, was being systematically destroyed. But the cost was immense. Vast swathes of Earth's surface were being reshaped by the stellar energy, entire regions rendered uninhabitable. It was a Pyrrhic victory, bought with the blood and sacrifice of billions. As the last of the alien ships were consumed by starfire, Colonel Sarah Harper's voice came through on a global broadcast. To all surviving human forces and civilians, the invasion has been repelled. I repeat, the invasion has been repelled. Initiate Operation Phoenix. Operation Phoenix, the plan for rebuilding in the aftermath of the conflict, had been prepared even as the war raged. Now, as the Prometheus gateways were carefully shut down one by one, humanity began the long, arduous task of reclaiming their world. Months passed. The shapeshifters, their leadership destroyed and their forces scattered, were hunted down across the globe. Earth, scared but unbroken, slowly began to heal. In what was once Geneva, Now a sprawling camp for survivors and returning refugees, the leaders of the new United Earth government convened. Captain Maya Rodriguez, her augmentations finally beginning to fail after months of continuous operation, addressed the assembly. "We've won our right to exist," she said, her voice carrying the weight of all they had endured. "But our victory has come at a terrible price. Earth will take generations to fully recover. Yet in our darkest hour, we discovered strengths we never knew we possessed. We reached for the stars and found within ourselves the power to shake destiny." She paused, looking out over the faces of those who had survived the crucible of invasion. "But our journey is far from over. The galaxy now knows of our existence, of our potential. Some will fear us, others may seek alliance. We must be prepared for both." General Okafor, his once immaculate uniform now battle-worn, stood to address the assembly. "Captain Rodriguez is right. The Nemesis Project and Operation Shadowfall were born of desperation, but they've shown us what we're capable of. We can no longer hide behind our atmosphere, pretending we're alone in the universe. It's time for humanity to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians against any who would threaten the freedom of sentient beings." As the assembly debated the path forward, news came from the teams exploring the remnants of the alien moon base. Dr. Lian Chen, leading the research efforts, made a discovery that would change everything. "We've decrypted their star charts," she announced, her holographic image flickering with excitement. "There are other civilizations out there, hundreds of them. Some have been enslaved by the shapeshifters' empire, others are in hiding. And there are wonders beyond our imagining. Dyson spheres, artificial planets, gateways between galaxies. The implications were staggering. Humanity, in defending itself, had broken the back of an interstellar empire. Now they had the chance not just to explore the stars, but to liberate those who suffered under alien domination." As the assembly voted unanimously to begin a program of controlled expansion into space, Maya found herself looking up at the night sky. The stars, once distant and cold, now beckoned with possibility. A hand on her shoulder startled her from her reverie. It was Sergeant Dmitry Volkov, his hulking form a comforting presence. "So, Captain," he rumbled, a hint of a smile on his weathered face. "Ready for our next mission?" Maya nodded, a fierce determination in her eyes. "Always, Sergeant." The shapeshifters thought they could extinguish humanity's light. Instead, they've unleashed a fire that will burn across the galaxy. As dawn broke over a scared but undefeated Earth, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, more united than ever before. The stars, once thought to be harbingers of doom, now promised a future limited only by the scope of human imagination and will. The invasion was over. Humanity's journey to the stars had just begun.